Glenn podcast. Everybody, we skipped last week, but we're back again. Hopefully with the right title this time around, because I sometimes mess those up as well. So today we're gonna be talking how how video games companies make us do advertising for them. The subject that kind of was suggested by Chapelmon, and we're gonna follow up on that. And we're gonna go from there. But of course, we're gonna start with the news, such as they are. Let's start with our old friends over at PC Gamer. Well, we'll get to an interesting political news, but it was in IGN, and they took it down.
Really?
But yeah, something that was interesting. But we'll get to that in a moment. PC Gamer, over at 4 days ago by Morgan Park says, "Stay out of Apex Legends Ghost Rocks or be banned," warns Respawn. Hmm. The planned fix for the Ghost Rock has been postponed. Respawn is taking a hardline stance against Apex Legends play, exploiting a Season 9 bug that lets you clip inside a rock and block all incoming damage. The Ghost Rock in question can be found on the Face Runner map, one of 4 launch maps in Apex Legends New Arenas mode. A fix for the rock clipping bug was supposed to come in yesterday. Patch just nerfed the new Bosec bow and Spitfire, but Respawn said in a follow-up tweet that it was delayed for quality control reasons. Respawn then warned players that exploiting the Ghost Rock for personal gain isn't allowed. Be aware that using this exploit while it's still around is bannable, the developer wrote. So yeah. Respawn's warning may come surprise you play other competitive shooters. Many games like Rainbow Six Siege, Valorant, and Call of Duty Warzone have technically outlawed the abuse of known bugs and exploits, but anecdotally, these rules don't appear to be strictly enforced. Understandable when there are bigger fish to fry like hackers. Like when Warzone Infinite Steam glitch could repeatedly pop up for months, Activision focused on fixing it and never really talked about bans. Yeah, I mean, sounds a lot of like Big Brothers, like you shouldn't do that because that's wrong. So I don't know about that. Uh, I mean, I understand why they're doing it, but it feels a bit heavy-handed to me. Unless, of course, I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of that glitch, but that's just me. Follow up on the news that we had a couple of weeks ago. This is by Jody McGregor over PC Gamer 17 hours ago. So yesterday, Australian ban of Disco Elysium, the final cut, overturned. It's
Hmm.
getting an R18 plus rating after all. The expanded edition of the best RPG there is. Okay, that's a strong worded opinion. Okay, we're gonna know that. This Elysium, the final code, was refused to classification in Australia earlier this year. That didn't stop it from being available on Steam in Australia. However, as digital distribution sometimes flies under the radar, refusal of classification only bans sales within the country, preventing shops from stocking physical editions, while digital storefronts run overseas remain a gray area that can go either way, seemingly at random. And an embarrassing failure to Australian law that even after fighting to get an R18 plus rating for video games, anything that features drug with stats boots in Disco Elysium, taking speed increases motorics and psyche, though they are also negative consequences, will be refused classification. Now, after Studios applied to have the review on April 16, the refusal has been overturned and replaced with an R18 plus rating. Got to know that when they say that it's seemingly random, I mean, Australia did sue and forced essentially Steam to get refunds. So you can thank the Australian government for the fact you can get a refund on Steam.
Yeah.
Uh, haven't done that for Microsoft stores, but beggars can be choosers, I guess. Uh, Over 500,000 cheaters are now banned from Call of Duty Warzone. This is over Kotaku by Zach Zweisen. Call of Duty Warzone developer Raven Software recently announced that over 30,000 new Warzone accounts were banned. According to the studio, that brings the total number of banned accounts to over 500,000. Warzone had a problem with cheaters since essentially day one. Since then, Activision and Raven Software have continued to fight cheaters and hackers. Back in February, Activision banned over 600,000 accounts and claimed that the total back was around 300,000. Now, with Raven on May 14 banning even more accounts, the number has climbed over 500,000 and is expected it will continue to grow. So I And I'm reading one of the comments. I'm not going to say who it is, but it goes something like this. So what do they play now? The cheaters. Is this like a parlor or gaff of the situation, like some shooter game where their right to free expression is allowed? I don't know. Like the right wing likes to say, you know, make your own game if you're happy with this one, right?
Yep.
Stadia news. I guess we now to add on our Ditch What list: BioWare, Blizzard, and now Stadia. I think Stadia will probably sink first, according to this article at least. Google says everything at Stadia is fine as the water reaches their noses by Zach Weiss. Again,
Everything's fine.
I'm
It's
just
fine.
quoting the article. This is just from the article. I'm not making these qualitative statements. These are made by the authors. Not that I disagree with them. I just want to clarify. The last 12 months or so have been rough on Google Stadia. Lawsuits, its main first-party development studio shutting down with little warning, issues with indie devs and key folks leaving the company. But according to Google, a company famous for shutting down services, everything is fine. They added a search bar and Resident Evil 7 to the service. Nothing to worry about. This reassurance that Google Stadia is alive and well comes from the interview with Stadia developer and marketing lead Nate Ahern on GameIndustry.biz, because people from the industry have never ever lied on interviews ever. That doesn't happen. During the interview, she assured us all was well. I got the distinct feeling that all at Google Stadia isn't well at all. It isn't well at all. Enunciate, and that the company is mostly rearranging shares on the sinking Titanic while pointing towards anything to distract folks from the rapidly rising waters, and the fact that the ship doesn't have many people on it. And the article continues to talk about the thing. I haven't put any links yet. I start putting links here.
Uh, the
So Stadia.
yeah. Everything's fine, I guess. Oh, so they're are they boasting that they have Resident Evil 7 up there and not Resident Evil Step on Me, Mommy?
Yeah, not Resident Evil Village. Yeah, I guess so. That's what they're boasting on. Yeah, we have one of those evils that are resident somewhere around here. Sure, we're gonna go with that. Good luck, Stadia. Actually, no, I don't care for Stadia at all. So you can fuck off. Honestly, I don't care. Even the controller it's too much like a PlayStation controller, which I'm not used to. So boo on you, boo on Stadia for reasons. None of them actually good reasons. Just I just want to be a jerk about it. I want to have my gamer moments. You know what I mean? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Moving on, Kotaku has another news. So Luke Plunkett, Sega remembers is sitting on a bunch of dormant games that need reboots. As part of Sega's latest financial results report, the company has something of a public awakening, realizing that after years of sometimes decades spent sitting in the archives covered in dust, it might be worth bringing back series like Jet Set Radio, Shinobi, and Crazy Taxi. I want to play Crazy Taxi. I would like to have a Crazy Taxi that's expanded, because Crazy Taxi is pretty short. After all, it was an arcade game mostly, but it was fun. And you can see this presentation slide posted in IGN. Sega got to talking about utilizing their globally recognized IP in the months and years to come, and listed a whole bunch of dormant series that could benefit from either remaster, remake, or reboot. I list pretty much everything I'm suffering Sega fan would ask for. Just a Radio, which I have on Steam. I kind of started playing it. I was like, I don't know. I just didn't. Yeah, it was on sale, so I got it. Crazy Taxi, Panzer Dragoon, that was with Shinobi, Virtual Fighter, even Altered Beasts and Knights make the cut. Alex Kidd is presumably missing because he's getting a new game this year. Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, Sega is going the reboot route, as is everyone else apparently, which is fine. I mean, I've seen some of
uh,
the games they released.
I
I'm still
mean,
waiting for Bayonetta 3 though, 2 on PC, but
um,
that's not gonna happen.
this. So I mean, with Yakuza would count, right?
Yeah,
Did they publish the first one? And I'm thinking of Golden Axe.
yeah.
Remember how that turned out?
Mm. I think I have a. I mean, I like the. I have the. I have I have access to emulation. That was all I'm gonna say. And the only Golden Axe I really liked was the 2, which is
I
Revenge of Death Adder, because the original one
actually
was a bit rough, right?
Actually, that does sort of remind me that wasn't it last year when they had that Sega like celebration on
Oh,
Steam that they released a like a prototype of like a reboot of Golden Axe that
hmm.
was that like the original people who made it are like no one consulted us that this was ever going to be released.
Yeah, that was the thing.
So I don't know. That'd be interesting to see if they what they pull off. I'm trying to think of I think of all the Sega things. Let's just steer away from Sonic because like Sonic doesn't need any more reboots.
No, and there's so much. And they're always making a Sonic game anyway, somewhere. So somebody's always working on Sonic, so it's not like yeah,
The
Sonic is always
Sonic
going
game.
somewhere. Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of other I don't know, like Alex Kidd. I'm trying to think of other franchises besides Sonic. The Streets of Rage, I get well, you got the
Yeah,
Streets of Rage 4.
yeah, that came out last year as well, which I should
Yeah.
play. Yeah.
It's pretty fun. It's different. It's different to see like the little cartoony art style to it. Um for better for worse, uh it's a bit more like the second game than it is like the third game, which I'm kind of disappointed because the third game had a little more innovations to it that I
Hmm.
liked, but it seems to kind of borrow more of the second game than the third.
What I would like to see more is more games that have games in them. Like
Hmm.
when you play Yakuza, they have like especially in remasters, they put Outrun and stuff like that in them. I would like to see because these games. That's the thing. There's people don't realize how much games have literally grown. Like games now are like 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte, etc. They're huge. I mean, they're compressed to smaller than that, but really they're in the terabytes when they're on compress. Many cases, but the games that they can emulate, like the Outrun, is like in the kilobytes, maybe a megabyte or two. So you can have we talked about this like last week, like putting more games inside other games
A
for
game
nothing
within a game.
else. Because if your game that you're playing sucks, I still we get another game. It's like, well, I can play this game to play a good emulation of Outrun or Virtua Fighter and enjoy that, and at least I get some of my money back. So you can have a game within the game. I love that doing that, right? I think Wolfenstein, the latest Wolfenstein, also had like Wolfenstein 3D inside of it as an arcade, right? I would like to see more releases where there's also virtual arcade rooms. Like you could buy
Hmm.
virtual arcade rooms, so it could be in your computer, and you goes like, yeah, I have these titles. Essentially, what you do with emulation, but having them being official, right?
Yeah.
Like release them like that. It's like, oh, you release it. I mean, in the past, they released like a 20, 30 pack of something. Now they would do the same thing where it's like, oh, hey, here's your virtual arcade room, and we have all this license stuff, and say for $2, $5, they're not much. You could just have it and play it on computer, right? Especially for
Didn't
PC, it would be great.
didn't Atari release something like that, or was it Namco like a
Namco, I mean, there's collections. There's been collections like PlayStation One collections and
I,
Sega
I feel
collections. Yeah.
I feel like one released like an arcade room, like it was almost like VR. You walk around the
Mhm.
arcade room, but you had to buy the games individually to
Oh
have access
yeah,
to
that's
them.
what I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
like $1.50, $2. I mean, as long as the prices are reasonable, right? If you have to pay
Yeah.
like $20 for Golden X2, I'm like, that's
I don't remember if the initial like actual software cost money though. I don't
hmm.
recall. I mean, it's one thing if it was like a free to play thing and oh, I just realized I'll be back for a second.
Okay. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, if the idea is that you download from Sega like a client, which will be their arcade room, and you go there and you have like Outrun 2, and all this stuff, and just for a minimal price, right? You can have a list of games and you buy them, right? I think that would be pretty cool. I think there was even a game that I played once that was that was all about emulating games from the 1980s, but you had to finish. I never finished that game because I got stuck in one game and I couldn't finish it. So but it was pretty cool, right? I forgot what the name of the visual novel that had arcade games in it. Forgot the name of it. Probably if I Funplex. Uh,
Oops.
well, there's a couple of those, so yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about some coffee on the stove. Oops.
So you don't want to start a fire. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was saying, that or having in stuff like I know there's some visual novels have done the same thing as well, where they have like in-game, video games because you got to have some kind of game, and instead of having people just go crazy trying to pixel hunt, they can just actually play a version of Pac-Man or something. So that's
Hmm.
also fun. Game within a game where we can do that. Talking about the global economy, on the other hand, just
Ooh.
just because that segue was perfect. Unsurprisingly, Nintendo Switch shipments were impacted by the stuck Suez Canal boat by Brian Ashcraft. The global business trade seemed to grind to a halt this past March when the Ever Given container ship got stuck in the Suez Canal. Loads of product shipments were impacted, including Nintendo Switch. During the recent investor conference call, Nintendo President Shuntaro Furukawa was asked about regional demand for Nintendo Switch. He replied that due to the COVID-19, where there have been delays in freight traffic causing shortages on retailers outside Japan, as noted by Stephen Totilo, the Ever Given was also ever a factor. In particular, said Furukawa, the accident that blocked the Suez Canal caused delays in transportation of products bound for Europe, and retail investors are tight in some countries. I mean, it's weird. This couple of years we had COVID. We're now talking about also a microchip shortage. We talk about what happened in Suez Canal. And now there was a pipeline also that got ransacked. No, not ransacked, but
Yeah.
ransomware.
Ransomware.
And the way I see it is that apparently some guy opened on an email or pictures like, "Do you want to see bigger boobs?" Like, yes, and that's how they got. Yeah, they got in. And talking about Nintendo, well, I guess yeah, Nintendo because Pokemon belongs to Nintendo.
Yep.
Uh, Target stores will stop selling Pokemon cards after shortages. Fighting by Luke Blanca. This was last Wednesday. Thanks to the combination of a pandemic, late stage capitalism, and people being assholes. Again, I'm just reading from the article, folks. Although I'm not disagreeing. Target stores across the US are about to halt all physical sales of certain trading cards with Pokemon on the list. A comic book report, the restriction will kick on May 14th, so that was 2 days ago, and will only apply to physical stores with online sales unaffected. Target says, yeah, because the scalpers never go to online stores, ever. Yeah. Oh man, the confluence of just all this stuff, just, yeah, I forgot about the scalpers as well. Ugh. Target's effect, the Target says that it's not a permanent move, but a temporary suspension as will affect NFL, NBA, and MLB cars, as well as Pokemon. There's a number of factors responsible, all of them related because of the pandemic. The production and distribution of cars has been hit, so stores have fewer to sell. The combined with the explosion of reseller markets, i.e., scalpers, fueled by the sum generated by certain cards in auction, have led to increased competition in the stock the stores have received. And when there's an increase in competition in goods and physical space in 2021, there is violence, with the recent and most likely contributor to targetization being a fight that broke out on a store in Brookfield, Wisconsin over sports trading cards, with one man being beaten and a gun being drawn. Jesus Christ. I mean, can you be more stereotypical American? Like, what? I mean,
I saw someone like we shared this on Twitter and they've had a good comment. So it's like so Target I think the article said like Target pulls Pokemon cards, due to safety concerns. And they're like, but Walmart still has guns, still sells guns.
What's interesting is like, there is a fight on aisle 7 for Pokemon cards. And so people rush to aisle 5 to get the guns to make sure they get the cards.
Yeah. Wow. Like, are we back in 1999 again?
I
Like,
guess
I feel
so.
like this is something. Oh, so I understand how a lot of the card economy works as someone who has dabbled in trading cards and stuff, especially more Magic the Gathering than Pokemon cards. I understand how a lot of this works. It isn't just people buying packs of cards to turn around and flip. It's also them buying the cards, opening the packs, finding like the good cards and selling them individually.
Yes.
So, but I don't why I understand the shortage aspect, but why suddenly are everyone fighting over these cards? Like, what changed? Like, why did they become suddenly worth fighting over? Like, did
Well,
Poke?
there
I
were a
assume,
couple of there were a couple of actions in which cards went for a very high price, and that happened with comic books back in the 1990s, right? It's like, oh, once a couple of comic books hit auction, everybody's looking for the next number one issue of Superman, right? Well, it's number
yeah,
one issue.
it's like
It's like
that's what I
Fantastic
was.
Four or whatever, right? That's what people are. Yeah.
So that's what I was about to bring up. Like, did these all did all at the same time, like all these trading card not just Pokemon but like other those other sports teams and stuff cards, like did they all suddenly like have a release the equivalent of like a Black Lotus in the deck or something,
Mhm.
or their sets that they recently released or something? It's just like, oh, I need to buy all the packs so I can find this one card and it's going to be worth millions in a couple of years. I don't know.
Yeah, probably that's what happened. So.
Because I remember the I lived through it. We both lived through it. The Pokemon card craze of, I don't know, 1999, 1997, 98. I remember like, ooh, first edition cards. Ones that's had the little stupid icon in the side. It's a first edition.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole. It's it's in the name, collectible card game, right? It's the idea that you're collecting cards and they become rare and etc. I mean, I was back in the '90s. I started with and stopped and started again with the Magic the Gathering madness, right? Because it became to because the thing about collectible card games is it's pay to win for the most part, right? There's some
Hmm.
rules and stuff like that, but most of the time it's pay to win because eventually those people who are willing to invest more and more money and do net decks, because I've done net decks, right? And they're like, oh yeah, I have this, and I have a a neck deck that is elves, and you can create like 200 elves, and each elf is like 50 plus 50, 50 life, 50 damage, and they have trample and they have all this stuff. I'm talking about nonsense. People who don't know Magic have no idea what we're talking about, but very powerful stuff, right? And somebody else is like, no, I have this net deck that has infect, and I do a twist a card and everybody's infected, and in 5 rounds I win. Or I have a card that takes complete control of everybody's decks, and I just insta win, that kind of thing, right? And of course, those cards cost. You mentioned the Black Lotus deck.
Black Lotus.
Yeah, that costs hundreds of dollars, and now if you have auctions, it can go to thousands of dollars.
Hmm.
So, and also that's also been known about sports cards, especially baseball cards. It's also a craze, and that's cyclical. Every 5-10 years, people remember. Oh, hey, people actually do trading baseball cards, right? It's not just about the gum.
Like, I don't know,
Yeah,
like a Tim Tebow card or something,
yeah.
because he
So
was a
yeah.
popular player, and I don't think he stuck around very long. I don't know.
Also, anytime there's Hall of
Arian
Fame and
Foster.
anytime there's a Hall of Fame announcements, certain cards go up again, right? Or a movie about a particular character. I mean, there's a lot of things that just inside
Shout
the
out
market,
to
outside the market as well. Yeah.
Arian Foster. I think on he streams on Twitter or on Twitch here as a Bobby Foster.
Mm,
He's a pretty base guy.
yeah.
I haven't seen him stream recently though.
Mm. Now moving on, going back again to the let's recycle our old games. Um, LucasArts Classic Zombies Ate My Neighbors return to console on PC next month by
Yes.
Mike Fahey. Because the dead never rests, Lucasfilm's games developer Dotemu have teamed up to bring enhanced versions of 1993 60-bit classic zombies, Ate My Neighbors, and its less beloved sequel to PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. The new version of Zombies Ate My Neighbors and 1995 follow Ghoul Patrol take the two tales of Zeke and Julie, saving their town from evil creatures, track attacks on modern save system, and bolts them together with a museum feature including game developer interviews, art collections, and soundtrack browser. All that plus trophies, achievements, and ability to play local co-op, just like the originals. This that is a kind of thing that
You don't see
15
it nowadays.
$15, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, Steam, and GOG. Limited run games will also be offering a physical version for people like
Ooh.
Chapelman who likes the to collect the
I
physical
I did
version.
not hear about that. That's actually news. I heard about the Zombies Ate My Neighbors coming out. I did not know that. Now I'm gonna have to go
Yeah. Also,
look
somebody in
it
my
up.
neighbor did was one of the earlier games that was used for Machimina, uh,
Yeah.
and it was very funny.
I I honestly I almost this is like this is like a throwback to my childhood. Like I grew up playing with my cousins. This Zombies Ate My Neighbors. Um but this is like a game I kind of like never expected it to see a like re-release in any kind of like modern console because I believe the publisher is Konami
Yeah.
or I don't think they were the developer. I think they were the publisher.
Well, it was Lucas Arts,
Yes.
but then Lucas Arts shut down because
Hmm.
Disney bought them. But now Disney, we talked about that I think 2 years ago, last year, like year before that, they reopened as Lucasfilms Games. So they have the thing. I mean, I expect also Maniac Mansion and other Scum games might come back as well. I never finished Manic Mansion back on my in the day because the copy I had was broken. So I did everything, and then when I finally go to the final solution, the final thing, I couldn't go up and I was like, I never finished it. But I did finish. I remember I did finish the sequel though. That was a lot of fun. Um, Sack and something something on the day of no Day of the Tentacle was
Day of the
the
Tentacle.
was the final.
They
They,
re-released that
they did
recent like a
indeed.
couple of years ago.
Yeah. So here it is. And well, before we do that, let's talk
Ooh.
a little bit about Paradox Entertainment and a little bit of Mass Effect before we get to the actual political news, and then we dive into everything else. So Xbox Quick Resume will finally show you what games are suspended by Ari Notice. This month's Xbox update will bring changes to Quick Resume, including at long last the ability to see what games are currently have suspended on your Xbox Series, whatever. Last year, Microsoft next-gen Xboxes received attention for improved performance and graphic fidelity, but Quick Resume, a feature that allows you to juggle around half a dozen games in a suspended state, was the secret star of the show, at least in terms of features that felt new and novel and truly next gen. When you consider how familiar the rest of the Xbox Series, whatever operating system felt, being able to quickly jump in and out of different games felt groundbreaking by comparison. So, Quick Resume, launched in a far from perfect state, games will support in 1 week but not the next. It was unclear how many games exactly you could juggle at once. Worst of all, you couldn't tell what games you would work with the feature, nor what games you currently had suspended with it. Unless you have photographic memory or took extensive notes, you could very easily close down a game when you thought you had suspended, potentially wiping unsaved progress. Ah, okay. Because I when
Hmm.
I first read this article, I thought, oh, suspended games. They were doing the Disney thing where as part
Yeah.
of the service, they allowed you
The
to play
Disney
free
Vault.
games. Yeah, and they suspended it. No, it's a feature that
Yeah.
allows you to stop a game and suspend it without having to have a save point.
Or yeah, or having to essentially put the game on pause while you have the game do something else or your console do something else.
Yeah.
It's
So
almost like a safe state,
oh,
almost.
yeah, dynamic save state even. And that's not a bad feature. I actually like that feature. At first I would try to slag on Microsoft like, oh, here we go again, Disney Vault things. Like, nope. I mean, I'm sure they have that as well. They don't have all the games that. Well, I don't know about the. I have to stop there because my knowledge of Xbox Live currently is very limited since I do not own or use an Xbox console, as you might have noticed by me calling the Xbox Series whatever. Well, whatever. So it's not me right now. Not where we're at right now. So uh, uh another news talking about features that went badly. Paradox director is very sorry for low quality DLC releases by Look Blockers this last Wednesday. Following the fan backlash over Europa Universalis 4 Leviathan CSC, which one of the worst rated launch on Steam of all time. That's saying something. The director of the studio responsible has apologized for fans for not just Leviathan's good quality, but those some of the recent releases as well. Posting the company forums, Paradox Tinto manager Johan Anderson accepted personal responsibility for people's long-standing issue with the game's DLC, especially a long trail of low-quality releases. And he goes on to quote Mr. Anderson. Uh, And then the article closes with such a rare it's rare to see such a direct apology in this dismiss. Something fans in this forum seems appreciative of. Guess we got the rest of 21 to see if Tinto can prove this one out of the fire against some of these expansions in more presentable state. Hold on to the that sentence is very rare to say such a direct apology because we're gonna come back to it in a few moments. And you probably already people who've been watching this series for a long time know exactly what I'm going to talk about, but still we're going to do it anyway. Now we're going to get political because things are very interesting. Kotaku has a article on Palestine, the recent troubles in Palestine, which is usually gaming. Palestine suffers a call for action. Ian Walker. Something you heard this one before. Talks about the situation. Uh, And also talk about, for example, Nuclear Throne developer Rami Ismail and King's Expressive Energy director Tamur Hussein have issued constant call for action. So some people have been mobilized in the video game space, right? And in news. Okay. But what really caught everybody's eye, and I saw it on Facebook and I had the link, and then, well, we'll talk about that in a moment, was that IGN had a link to this as well, but they took it down.
Hmm.
Um, Essentially, it was a pro-Palestinian position, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
well, it's so here I dug up the uh
the
I dug
original.
up the original article on the Wayback Machine. Here, I
Mhm.
will post this in the chat. Uh, in my chat. So there's the original article
Mhm.
through via the Wayback Machine.
Mhm.
So it doesn't really say anything. So there's just this paragraph that says, Palestinian civilians are currently suffering in great numbers in Jerusalem, Gaza, the West Bank due to active Israel Palestine conflicts. The New York Times reports that most of the deaths so far have occurred in Gaza. Below are charities and organizations on the ground in those areas where you can donate funds to help those most in needs. We will continue to update this article with other ways you can help. It just posts the, let's see, Palestine Children's Relief Fund, and NARA, uh, United Nations Relief and Works Agency, uh, Medical Aid for Palestinians, and Doctors Without Borders. And just I think it just ends. I mean, it has like little. It sort of just summarizes what they do and stuff, and has links to it. And there's like, we
Mhm.
hope that you'll join us in helping civilians in need in those Middle East regions by donating to organizations above and the cost. Like, the what the hell's wrong with this article?
I mean, there's the wrong is, of course, that particularly in the United States,
Hmm.
there's a very strong. There's two things. There's a strong pro-Israeli bent, especially by the government, both
Mm-hmm.
Democrats and Republicans, and that any criticism of the Israeli state is often couched in terms of anti-Semitism.
Mm.
So anything that is seen as being pro-Palestinian, including the fact that there have been states who have tried to pass laws prohibiting, people from actually supporting the pro-Palestinian the divestment movement, right? The idea basically a boycott on Israel for the treatment of the Palestinian people in Gaza and in the West Bank. Um, that if you are seen donating or associated with that movement, you, for example, cannot get work.
Mm.
And there's been lawsuits about it. All the lawsuits have been considered to be, had failed. I've not failed. They actually the laws have failed every lawsuit because they consider it to be against free speech, right? Political speech, or the government cannot use their power to enforce the right kind of speech. Um, so there's that. Um, so a magazine like this coming out with essentially a very clear pro-Palestinian. They don't mention the Israelis. They say, no, the Palestinians are suffering, and putting the Palestinian people as being the people who are the victims in this situation uh, would be seen with unkind eyes. Did it get picked up in the larger, news media, right?
Yeah.
Mostly they chose to ignore it, but I think that the people at IGN were kind of afraid that that might come back to haunt them, right?
Hmm.
So they thought maybe it was an innocuous statement.
Or yeah, or they got a lot of hate or pushback from the quote unquote gamers.
Hmm.
Stop bringing video game politics into my video game space. It wouldn't
Yeah,
surprise me if that's part of it, but it's also there's a lot of bad people out there in the world who don't like living in the gray.
yeah. So remember when I said about holding that apology about people apologizing? Well, these are two articles that talk about the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, which I'm currently streaming. Well, not currently, not at this moment, of course, but during the week. I started last Friday, and will continue during the week as much as possible. A couple of things. First of all, Mass Effect Legendary Edition changes a photo of Tally's face. Bioware chose the
Does it?
yeah.
Surprise!
I'm gonna put the link if you don't want if you want to be spoiled. There's a video showing
Yes,
it. I'm
spoil
gonna
me.
but I don't want to be spoiled. Not that it really matters. I just don't want to. Jody McGregor, 17. Oh, sorry. There are a lot of small changes in the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. For instance, a minor NPC from a side mission in the first game named Elanos Heliod, who was originally given a human model by mistake, now appears as a Turian as he was
Hmm.
supposed to. And I know we talked
Yeah.
about this out of camera. Another change that more likely to see the internet on fire is that the photo Tally, the romanceable core engineer, is now one of the trilogy's more popular characters, now has a different face. In the first two games, only vague details were visible due to the helmet she wore to keep her safe from disease. Truly example for our time, even after romancing. Uh, in the original version, Mass Effect was a Photoshop stock image, attractive woman in field smiling with sunset. Once we're hoping to see something a little more alien and less bought from getting from getting images were vocal with their disappointments. So yeah, there's a change. And I guess I did spoil me. I did see a little bit, so
Uh,
but doesn't matter. I'll probably forget by the time I hit Mass Effect 3.
you'll
Uh,
probably, honestly, you probably will. You're probably like, oh, it's a different picture, assuming that you even romance her. Are you
yeah,
planning
that
on
you have to
romancing?
romance her in order to do the fix, and I'm not planning on this playthrough. Eventually, my 20th and 30th, I probably get to
Okay.
down the list.
Yeah, so that's way better because you can that makes sense. Because I like the biggest complaint. I once saw a little comic book about like they're standing over the whole planet and stuff like they reunite like Shepard's decisions reunited the Geth and the Quarians and it's like okay I'll meet you on the ship and then she like tosses a camera to like the Geth Prime standing there's like I don't understand Kratos or just take the picture she's like taking her clothes off.
Yeah, yeah. She actually gets a gift to do. I see that. I see that. It's like, why are we doing? Just do it. Just do it.
So
Yeah,
this makes sense. It's Talizora in her regalia and just with the mask off. That's
yeah,
I don't understand why they couldn't have done this before. And honestly, I swear, it wouldn't surprise me if this was like fan art somewhere because I've seen fan art like exactly like this.
yeah.
Like
I
so
hope they
honest
pay the fan artists because.
yeah, I hope that they didn't steal this from somewhere from like deviant art.
Mhm.
And I hope this is like either something made in house or commissioned out of house, but I hope they didn't steal it because this looks just like fan art and I don't understand why we couldn't have gotten this.
Yeah. So, but here's the other rub about this. So they made some changes, right, including
Mhm.
toning down the butt shots of Miranda and all that. But also, on the other hand, when it comes to the big stuff, well, over at CNET Central, Mass Effect director hopes Legendary Edition may challenge your feelings about the infamous ending. By director Mac Walters and character environment director Kevin Meek talk about the trilogy conclusion that broke the internet back in 2012 and the possibility of multiplayer making a return. Uh, I'm gonna link to it if you guys want to read it. But to be honest, they didn't say that they rewrote the ending. Ergo, I mean, they kind of rewrote it once with the expanded,
With the extended cut.
extended cut. But let's be honest, it just made it worse. Because like, oh, here are all the reasons why we really did the thing, which make less sense. And then they were like, oh, by the way, if you don't choose anything, well, F you, because the game plays itself and it went automatically. Spoilers. And oh, by the way, we're gonna make a DLC that explains why all this makes sense. And then you go and play the DLC and goes like, no, no, this shows how dumb in universe and out of universe this whole situation is. It does not, no, you know. And then there's of course the people who say, well, screw that. I like Citadel DLC.
No.
But I will reserve my comments to Citadel DLC when I replay it again, probably a couple of weeks when I get to it. It's about 20 plus hours per game with all the DLC. So well 60 and my 80 to 90th hour I'll be talking Citadel. What I'm gonna do. My plan is to leave all the DLC for Mass Effect 3 after I finish Mass Effect 3,
Hmm.
so I can channel my inner gamer rage into it. But if you guys want to see more about the Citadel DLC, a good review, you can check out Chapamon's channel. He has it. He actually took the time to do it, and has some salient points, which I'll see if I actually agree with them or not.
Oh
But
yeah, so here I can link to that in chat, but here I'll also link to this. The fans are up to it, like that change with the one character from going from a human to Shuriken is already
mm,
updated. Although they still keep the human profile as his main like photo, which I find interesting. It's like, oh yeah, in
mm,
the Legendary Edition, he was fixed to be Turian. Like everyone pretty much already knew, and all the fans hypothesized he was supposed to be a Turian.
yeah. So talking about Bioware, something happened about 2 weeks ago. We were going to talk about last week, but didn't get to it because Mother's Day and real life mothers. And I'm going to stop before I start digging myself deeper in that sentence. and and said that one of the things that Bioware did to promote the Legendary Edition was to set up essentially a little, create your own game poster box art thing on their website. I used it. A lot of people used it. And of course, it was designed for you to share that. And a comment by Chapelmon was, "Hey, Bioware is having us do the advertising for them," and I was like, yeah," and we all did it, even if we didn't play the game, right?
Yeah.
Uh, so I'm like, "Oopsie, okay," and it got to me thinking about
I
something.
mean,
Go ahead.
I actively, so I mean, I mocked it while actively doing the thing, though.
Yeah, so did I. Yeah.
Because the thing that attracted to me is that I saw a bunch of other fan other Mass Effect fan artists who that I follow on Twitter like posting this thing, but like kind of taking a fun take on it, like having all the character models be like a certain character. I saw one with like all Garrus, like all Garrus is all the only person on there with all the
Hmm.
different positions. Same with Rex. He's the only squad mate featured on there.
Yeah. So there's that, and I was like, yeah. I mean, and this is, I mean, a couple of things have been happening for a long time. Word of mouth is always the most powerful format to, or one of the most powerful ways to actually, get people to buy anything, because you trust your friends. And one of the reasons why you're friends and you are in fandoms and stuff like that, because you share worldviews and taste. So if they like a thing, there's a good chance you'll like it too, right?
Yep.
Tied to the, of course, something that started happening even in the 1990s and certainly in the 2000s, the idea of things going viral, right? That if you put an interesting concept out there, especially on earlier days of YouTube and other social media there, everybody would share it, right? Because that's the thing about social media, it allows you to share things very quickly, right? People, share it on Twitter, they switch on Facebook, they say, hey, look at this video, and Discord, anywhere and everything. I mean, it's no social media if it doesn't have the ability to literally share something, right? Your TikToks, your Instagram, everything. And I'm looking for more and more social media that I don't use, just so I don't sound like an old man talking about old defunct social media
It's
platforms.
Foursquare,
Yeah,
MySpace,
Blogger.
LiveJournal.
Yeah, Blogger. Uh, I still use some of that legacy stuff as well. So that's always been very powerful. So the idea of word of mouth then powered by the internet. But there's another aspect of this, well, is that in particular in video games, and also happens in movie industry and the like, it's the, we talked about this engagement, right? Getting people to be engaged with the product, not engaged in the game experience, but with the idea of the product, and sharing with it sort of reinforces that engagement. I get to share stuff like a picture showing how much of a fan I am. Oh, look at this cool stuff. Everybody gets like, oh, that's very cool. We're all get, oh, very cool. And we keep reinforcing each other the fact that, yes, we're going to buy this game and it's going to be the best game ever. And we're going to share it. And of course, we're on Twitch, which it means I'm streaming the game. So I'm also doing advertising for Mass Effect because not only did I buy Mass Effect because I'm not I'm not enough popular streamer to get people to actually give me free stuff. And I said in the past that I actually would be a bit uncomfortable if people started giving me free stuff. I'm much of a craving capitalist not to say yes for free stuff, but I will admit that I go like, do I? I mean, if Skillshare goes like, we want to promote your channels, like,
Okay. Why?
sure, right? I mean, I'm a I'm a craving hypocrite when I say that, but it's true. But I do feel that, and that's sort of kind of the thing is that
We we live in a capitalist society, so we still have to operate under it.
exactly, and the time and place that we take to do stuff like this is time and effort, right? Where
Yeah,
I could be doing something else, right?
I actually once got approached by oh, I don't Pound Industries or whatever. I did a review on like a PlayStation 2 like uh essentially PlayStation 2 to um PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 to like HD,
Mhm.
like to kind of like a little adapter thing to make it hook up to HDMI, and I thought it sucked. And actually, I got approached by someone like, "Hey, would you be interested in a Sega one, like to market and like show off?" But I never heard back from them.
Yeah,
Like, oh, that was interesting. Like, that'd be interesting. I'm like, oh, sure. If you want to give me a free one and I'll review it, I'll do it.
yeah. I mean, it's in
But yeah, that doesn't guarantee that I'll say positive things about it. Considering that, like, I'm surprised you even approached me in the first place after I didn't say so many nice things about your previous adapter. I can respect that. Like, honestly, like if I trash somebody's product, like because I happen to review it and they still approach me like, hey, like we saw your review and like, oh, here, would you like this? Sure. Like you're willing to offer me like potentially to even trash another of your products more, and you're so willing to give me something free like that. Okay. I
yeah,
respect that.
yeah. Also, I mean, if you're a streamer, something that does happen, if you're in the right circles, you do get a lot of you get people who advertise giving free keys for many games. But the problem is, I mean, I had contact with that. It's like it's kind of a lottery kind of thing where, first of all, the games that you want to play, right?
Yeah.
Uh, you may not get it because your metrics or there's so many people applying to it, and then there's a bunch of other stuff that I would never want to get involved with because I wouldn't have fun, right? I wouldn't have a
Yeah.
good experience. So I'm like, I had to literally sort of go like, unless you really are contacting me, my business emails, like, hey, listen, we want to talk to you. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna do it. But
Raid Shadow Legends or whatever the hell that game is
yeah,
called.
no, and of course, as I constantly rail against microtransactions, I would never play a game that is at least primarily
But
run in microtransactions. So yeah.
let me take a swig of my gamer piss energy drink out of my I don't know mana label water bottle. Glug 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 glug.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't think I'd ever get popular, but yeah, I could be playing more popular games, like, but why? Like, I'll stream whatever the hell I want. Like, I honestly don't want to be like chasing after that, like the bandwagon or like the golden cow. Like,
Yeah,
oh, I'm gonna stream this popular game that everyone else is streaming because money. But I
yeah,
also I also acknowledge that I'm in a position where I could do that. So, like I could
hmm,
stream and not stream something popular because my livelihood doesn't depend on it.
yep. So yeah, I mean it's a thing, right? And not only streamers, but just the regular public, right? We get so excited for these products that I mean, there's been television, they've been writing in campaigns to revive television shows like The Expanse. And back in the day, there was another show called Jericho, right? People are so consumed by something like this that they're like, no, no, no. You have to give, it's like, the old meme of like, here's some, take my money kind of thing. But the other part is that, again, in the case of video games like Twitch, we kind of also make money out of it as well, right? It's like we're using someone else's. We talked about this before. We use someone else's product to make our own livelihood, and there's an asterisk that has to be added to that. Is it a problem? Um, on one hand, it's just wholesome, right? It's people just sharing what they like,
Yeah.
but on the other, it's a corporation exploiting people.
It's exploiting people's parasocial relationships with the people they watch.
Mhm. And the products they sell.
Yeah, and of course, the thing is too, like, I mean, it sort of worked on me. Like, hey, sorry, my chair's bothering me.
Hmm.
Hey, there is a like, I know there's like, I don't know how it works, but I know people get paid to be like influencers on Twitter and like Instagram and whatever
Yeah.
else. So I mean, it sort of worked with me. It's like, oh, I saw other people posting this thing. It's like, I'm gonna go check that out.
Yeah.
It worked on me, and look, I ended up posting something about that too, which gets anybody who is following me that isn't particularly following the person where I first saw it. Well, they got to see the thing, whether they pursued it or not. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't.
I mean, that's how you make money in places like Instagram, right? Because it's all about pictures. You want a lot of topics like clothing, right? And it also it's very interesting because it blurs or deliberately sometimes blurs the line between, oh, I like this. I mean, how truthful the person is. Like if your friend comes to you and says, "Yeah, I want to, I bought these shoes, or I want to play this video game, or want to see this movie," you're like, "Oh, cool. I trust my friend that they're gonna say he or she or they. I don't know the specific friend that it is. They're sharing something because they genuinely like it, versus somebody saying, even if somebody I trust, especially a parasocial relationship, I bought this product. I enjoyed this experience. You might like this too. It depends on where it is. For example, I don't think that you have to disclose on TikTok. You have to disclose on YouTube, and you have to disclose on Switch that this is a paid advertising. Blah blah blah.
I
Uh,
like, yeah, they sponsored me,
Expanse,
paid
which is,
sponsorship.
yeah. But even when you say it's sponsored, you're still kind of trading on the fact that you kind of, because the moment you say it's sponsored, it's like, well, you have a financial incentive to say positive things if for no other reason so them to sponsor you again.
Yeah, honestly, like I don't. Well, and of course, there's also stipulations too when it comes to when you accept contracts like that. Like I don't know, they give you like $500 or something to, yeah. But there's also a list of stuff like you have to say, the company's name at least so many times, and do this and that. And I'm sure there's a clause where it says like you're not supposed to say anything negative about it.
Hmm.
So it's like, can I trust you? Like, can I trust that these yeah, you said that you use this product because they also probably sent you like a freebie to also,
Hmm.
hey, test out. Are you really gonna say like, oh yeah, so this is sponsored, but this product sucks?
Yeah, like there.
Hey, like maybe your experience will be different. Here, buy these headphones.
Yeah. Uh, or like some questionable products like Manscape. And they're not questionable in the sense of people actually needing and wanting to use the product. It's just like, say, I don't know, I'm watching something from Rooster Teeth and they talk about Manscape. And I'm like, the only way I can really believe that you use this product, it's something that as at least a cisgender heterosexual dude, I'm not interested in seeing. Ergo, you know,
I definitely shave my balls with these products and stuff.
Yeah,
Can't show
so
it to you on YouTube. Follow me over on my fans only.
I I guess so. I don't know if actually does OnlyFans actually has that aspect of it.
I'm sure it doesn't. I'm pretty sure there are like sex toy products and stuff too that
Oh
will
yeah, of course,
sponsor.
yeah. But you know, if you when you then the thing is that they say, but you know, we never advertise something that I don't believe in. It was like you can't show me the proof of your your genital grooming products.
Yeah, like
Ergo, and
yeah. I mean
I may
the
not want to see, even if even if it's an attractive woman, I may go like, you know what, I may want to go to the porn site to see that. I don't want to see that on YouTube. Really, it's like,
yeah. But it's also like the same thing with some of these products too that you can't show on it. Like how am I going to be like I'm not hanging around with you constantly to see you, oh hey, you're using those neat headphones there, or hey, you're using that weird like metal case. No, I always see you when you pull your wallet out, it's that neat metal case wallet thing.
Yeah.
Or like, hey, I know that I definitely always stop by your house and see you eating like constantly buying the or getting those ready-made meals through the mail. Like that you're always cooking one of those things. Like, oh, you definitely use that product. It's a ah my God. I think Renegade Cut once did a video a long time ago about like essentially everything on YouTube, unless it's like live streamed and stuff, everything is curtailed.
Hmm.
Like everything's curtailed by the creator. So you can never even tell what, exactly how authentic it is, like how
Hmm.
authentic they're being, because they're even us technically, we're sort of, even while we're doing it live, there's more chance you'll see like the real us, but even then we're still presenting ourselves in a way, in a curtailed way.
Yeah. And talking about presenting, I made a mistake and I wiped us from the screen. So you're seeing a blank
Cool.
screen. That was on my and I would require to setting the screen, and we don't really have a couple of minutes, so instead we're gonna do the closing. Sorry
Yeah.
about that. So we're gonna do an audio closing. Chapelman, where can we find you in the interwebs?
You can find me at Chapomon pretty much anywhere. I am Chapomon underscore here on Twitch and Twitter, but you can primarily find most of my content over on YouTube. Uh, just search up Chapomon, you'll hit me. You can follow, you can watch my I don't know, like 2 or 3 hours long Mass Effect 3 Citadel ramble as I nitpick the plot and all the features that were added into it that took me the course of like 3 or 4 years to like put together. Uh, uh, yeah, and right now on Twitch, I'm currently most mornings or whenever I can, I'm currently actually doing trying to work on exercising. And I'm using this PlayStation 3 PlayStation Move game with Get Fit with Mel B. Mel B being Scary Spice from the Spice Girls.
Hmm.
Former Spice Girl, I guess. I'm not sure. I assume they're not together anymore.
No, no.
Uh, and uh, and I'm also currently streaming a visual novel called Minotaur Hotel. It's just it's technically a like furry adult visual novel, but this is the safer work version that I am taking a chance on, making sure it doesn't become TOS at some point. It's
Mhm.
very fascinating. It's very Greek based, at
Mm.
least in terms of its backstory.
And you can find me here streaming Mass Effect Legendary Edition during the week. I'm also going to continue doing Script Doctors, hopefully this Wednesday. I did last week Script Doctors, The Phantom Menace, and now on YouTube, so you can check it out. And I'm going to continue with the entirety of the trilogy, the prequel trilogy, this week. And this afternoon at 6 o'clock Eastern, I'm going to be over at Rakta's channel for Greyhawk Into the Wild Coast. I'm running a game, a Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition game with them. So thank you everybody for coming, and I see you when I see you. Bye bye, everybody.